Have you ever sat down at your desk, opened your laptop, stared at the blank screen, and somehow ended up watching videos for 3 hours instead of doing the one thing you actually needed to do? I know that feeling. I've been there more times than I'd like to admit. And if you're watching this right now, chances are you have too. Maybe you told yourself, "I'll start after this one video." Maybe you've been telling yourself that for weeks. Or maybe you already know exactly what you need to do, but something invisible keeps pulling you back, and you have no idea why. Today, we're going to talk about that invisible force. We're going to talk about procrastination, not as a productivity problem, but as a deeply human psychological experience. And by the end of this video, you'll have one simple, powerful tool you can use today to finally start moving forward. Let's be honest about what procrastination actually feels like. It's not just laziness. It's not that you don't care. It's that moment when you sit down to write the email and your chest tightens. It's that Sunday evening dread when you know Monday is coming and the project still isn't done. It's the crushing guilt of another day gone by, another promise to yourself broken. Many of us carry this weight quietly, convinced that everyone else is somehow more disciplined, more motivated, more capable. But here's the truth. You are not broken. You are not uniquely flawed. Procrastination affects an enormous number of people, and it has nothing to do with intelligence or ambition. In fact, many of the most driven, talented people struggle with it deeply. The problem isn't who you are. The problem is what's happening underneath the surface. And once you understand it, everything changes. And I need you to really hear that, because most of us have been fighting this battle with the wrong weapons entirely, blaming ourselves for a problem that was never really about willpower to begin with. So what is actually going on when we procrastinate? The first thing to understand is this. Procrastination is not a time management problem. It's an emotional regulation problem. Research in psychology consistently shows that when we avoid a task, we're not avoiding the task itself. We're avoiding the feelings associated with it. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, overwhelming uncertainty, the discomfort of not knowing where to begin. Think about the last task you kept putting off. Was it actually that hard, or did it just feel heavy, loaded, uncomfortable? Our brains are wired to protect us from discomfort. When something feels threatening, even if the threat is just embarrassment or imperfection, the brain sends an alarm signal and we seek relief. And relief comes in the form of distraction, social media, TV, cleaning the kitchen, anything but that thing. Understanding this changes the whole conversation, because now, instead of asking, "Why am I so lazy?" we can ask, "What feeling am I avoiding right now?" And that's a question we can actually work with. Ask yourself right now, what task have you been putting off, and what emotion comes up when you imagine sitting down to do it? That question alone, if you sit with it honestly, can reveal more than any productivity system ever could. And the more aware you become of that emotional pattern, the more power you have over it. Here's the second key insight, and this one might surprise you. Perfectionism and procrastination are deeply linked. Many people who procrastinate aren't doing so because they don't care. They're doing so because they care too much. They want the result to be perfect, and starting feels like risking failure. There's a story that captures this beautifully. Imagine a young graphic designer who had been hired to create a logo for a small business. For weeks, she opened the design software, stared at the blank canvas, and closed it again. She told herself she was thinking it through. The truth was, she was terrified of starting, because starting meant potentially failing. She had built the project up so much in her mind that it had become enormous, heavy, impossible.
Then one day, almost by accident, she set a timer for 10 minutes and told herself she would only sketch rough, terrible ideas, no pressure, no stakes. And something extraordinary happened. Within those 10 minutes, the seed of the real logo appeared. Perfectionism had been her prison. Permission to be imperfect became her key. If you recognize yourself in this story, I want you to know the work doesn't have to be good to begin. It just has to begin. And the fact that you're watching this video right now is already a first step. That matters. But stay with me, because there's one more piece that I think is the most overlooked of all.
There's a third layer to this that most people never address: identity. Somewhere along the way, many of us developed a story about ourselves. I'm someone who always procrastinates. I'm not disciplined. I always leave things to the last minute. And once that story becomes part of your identity, your brain actually works to confirm it. Every act of avoidance feels like proof. The story becomes self-fulfilling. Here's what the science of behavior change tells us. Lasting change doesn't start with actions. It starts with identity. Instead of saying, "I need to stop procrastinating," try saying, "I'm someone who takes small steps every day." Instead of, "I have to be more productive," try, "I'm someone who keeps promises to myself." The actions follow the identity. This isn't just positive thinking, it's a fundamental reframe of who you believe yourself to be. So let me ask you something. Who do you want to be? Not what do you want to do, who do you want to become? Because the answer to that question is the foundation of everything else. Sit with that for a moment. That answer is yours, and it's more powerful than any tip or technique I could ever give you. We live in a world that glorifies constant busyness. We measure our worth by our output by our hours, and our hours by how exhausted we are. And so when we rest, when we slow down, when we don't check off every item on the list, we feel guilty. That guilt piles on top of the avoidance, and suddenly you're not just avoiding the task, you're avoiding yourself. I know that weight. Many of us carry it silently. And I want to offer you a gentler perspective. Rest is not the enemy of progress. Guilt is not motivation. Shame has never once made anyone more productive in a lasting way. What actually works is compassion, the kind you'd offer a close friend who is struggling. You wouldn't tell a friend, "You're pathetic, just do it already." You'd say, "Hey, I get it. This is hard. Let's figure it out together." Try speaking to yourself that way. It costs nothing, and it changes everything. The most powerful shift I've ever seen people make isn't a new system or a new schedule. It's the moment they decide to stop being their own worst critic and start being their own most reliable supporter. The one practical thing I want you to do today is called the 2-minute rule. Here is how it works. If a task takes 2 minutes or less, do it immediately. Don't put it on a list. Don't schedule it. Just do it now. And for bigger tasks, the ones that feel heavy and impossible, use those 2 minutes differently. When you feel the pull of avoidance, set a timer for just 2 minutes and commit to working on the task for only that long. Not to finish it, not to do it perfectly, just to start. What you'll discover almost every single time is that starting breaks the spell. The emotional resistance is almost always worse than the task itself. Once you're in motion, momentum takes over. 2 minutes becomes 10, 10 becomes 40, and suddenly that thing you've been avoiding for 3 weeks is half done. This is not magic, it's neuroscience. Starting a task activates different parts of the brain than dreading it does, and once activated, your brain naturally wants to continue. The hardest part is always, always, always the beginning. So don't wait for motivation. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. So here is your challenge. Right now, today, think of the one thing you've been putting off most. Open it. Set a timer for 2 minutes. Begin.
Don't worry about finishing. Don't worry about being good. Just begin. Every single step forward is proof that you are not the person who always gives up. You are the person who is learning to begin, and that changes everything. If you found something valuable in this video, if any part of it made you pause and think, I genuinely appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps more people find these conversations, and it tells me you want more of this kind of content, more tools, more insights, more of the honest, human conversations that help us actually grow. I'm grateful you're here. Now go start that thing. Disclaimer. This video is for educational and motivational purposes and does not constitute professional psychological or mental health advice. If you are experiencing significant distress, please consult a qualified mental health professional.